treat on wheels. This is Darby Ciastio at Take 30 News. A new business in Starkville has hit the streets.
When it rains, it floods. I'm Alexis Ellis. Found out how flooding has impacted local residents.
Goodbye undergraduate, hello grad school, I'm Shatoya Reader. Find out the preparation it takes to get accepted.
Afternoon, we'll have those stories for you in a moment. But first, election results from Mississippi's 2019 general election. These are unofficial totals. All precincts are reporting, however, it was a big night for Mississippi Republicans across the state, and we begin with the closely watched race for governor. Republican Tate Reeves won with 52% of the vote. He was the former 32nd Lieutenant Governor and served since 2012. He received 449,841 ballots cast, and he beat out Jim Hood, who was the Democrat candidate. He received 401,000 votes, coming in at 47%. Constitution Party's Bob Higginbotham and Independent David Singletary came in at 0% and 1% respectively. Elected in 2008, the former Secretary of State, now the new Lieutenant Governor, Delbert Hosemann, beats out Democrat Jay Hughes. He received about 60% of the votes for that race. The new Secretary of State will be Republican Michael Watson. Watson was on the state Senate representing the 51st District. He beat out Johnny Dupree and received about 59% of the votes for that race. And for Mississippi Attorney General, Republican Lynn Fitch beats Democrat Jennifer Riley Collins with 58% of the voters casting ballots for her. In the state treasurer's race, Democrat Addie Lee Green loses to Republican David McCray. David McCray is a current businessman and former Chief Justice at the Honor Court of his university. He received 509,000 votes. For the Commissioner of Agriculture and Commerce, Democrat Ricky L. Cole loses with 41% of the vote to Republican Andy Gibson, who won that race with 59%. For Commissioner of Insurance, Republican Mike Cheney received 62% of the votes, beating Democrat Robert E. Amos, who received only 38%. For Public Service Commissioner in the Northern District, which includes the Golden Triangle, Democrat Brandon Presley ran unopposed. Finally, in the race for the Northern District's Transportation Commissioner, Republican John Caldwell, also the former DeSoto County Supervisor, won with 63% of the vote there. Moving on to other stories, for one Mississippi State student, it started as a joke on social media, but some viewed it as a movement. And as Take 30's Jay Stanley shows us, it's ending with a cease and desist letter from the university officials.
People were like, you don't go no HBCU? I'm like, yes I do. It's a movement.
MSU student Trashad Thomas, also known around campus as Hollywood, created a movement through social media that captured the attention of many people. Thomas released this video last April where he says that Mississippi State is the best HBCU in the nation. Alcorn University students took offense to the video and began to respond to Thomas through Twitter. From here, Thomas and other MSU students were involved in a back and forth argument on social media with HBCU students from all over the country. Thomas even printed shirts that stated, "The Mississippi State University, I love my HBCU."
Well, actually, it started off as like, it was just a joke. I wasn't even trying to start no movement or nothing like that. But you know what I'm saying? So it was back in like last April, I just put on a Mississippi State is the best HBCU in the nation, you know what I'm saying? It's a joke. People got hot.
He's right about that. Not only did he offend those involved with HBCU culture, MSU wasn't happy either. The university issued Thomas a cease and desist letter demanding him to immediately stop selling products with their name and image on them for the infringes upon the university's rights. Furthermore, MSU expressed that if he failed to comply with their request, legal actions would be taken against him. Now, Thomas said that he would discontinue any behavior on social media that MSU felt was disrespectful to others, as well as the distribution of goods with their name and likeliness. But he really doesn't feel like he needs to.
I don't care, because I joke about what I want to, when I want to, and I'm going to say whatever I want to. And Mississippi State is the best HBCU in the nation, and I believe it.
Reporting for Take 30 News, I'm Jay Stanley.
Says he never made any money from the MSU shirts that he sold on social media, but that doesn't have a bearing on the decision. In the letter, the university said the unauthorized and unlicensed use of the Bulldog image and colors infringes upon the rights of the university. Now for a look at some national headlines. Let's turn things over to Cole Brundage. Hey, Cole.
Hey, Richard. Thank you. Mississippi wasn't the only state to hold elections on Tuesday. Both Kentucky and Virginia held elections of their own, including the governor spot for Kentucky. Despite a last-minute push by the president himself, Republican incumbent Matt Bevin lost his bid for re-election to Democrat Andy Beshear. Of the 6 executive offices up for grabs in Kentucky, however, 5 of them went to Republicans. Moving on to Virginia, a big swing has been made with Democrats winning both the House of Delegates and the state Senate. The last time the Democratic Party held full control of the Virginian state government was way back in 1994. Next week, we'll also see a general statewide election in Louisiana. Next, in the wake of the hottest October ever recorded, over 11,000 scientists have declared a climate emergency. On Friday, data was released from the Copernicus Climate Change Service, which reported that it was the warmest October ever. This follows a trend in 2019, with June, July, and September also being the hottest ever as well. Just yesterday, a study published in the journal Bioscience claimed that there would be untold suffering for humanity if the current climate trends continue. This study has the backing of more than 11,000 scientists the world over, with one of the authors of the study saying that they feel as though time is running out for us to act. On top of this, the U.S. has notified the United Nations just this week of its official withdrawal from the Paris Agreement. Then, the rising temperatures can for sure be felt in California, where wildfires have been plaguing the state for weeks. But to add even more heat onto that, President Donald Trump took to Twitter, stating that the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has done a terrible job of forest management and that the federal government would no longer be providing aid in fire relief efforts. Finally, tragedy struck on Monday when 9 family members were murdered near the U.S.-Mexico border. The family came from a Mormon community on the Mexican side of the border and were dual U.S.-Mexican citizens. According to Mexican authorities, the victims, 3 women and 6 children, were ambushed Monday evening by criminal cartels while traveling in a caravan of 3 separate vehicles. 8 children, who were also in the cars, survived the attack. Then yesterday, Mexican authorities said that a suspect who was holding 2 hostages at the time was arrested in relation to the massacre. Richard?
Cole, don't go anywhere. After the break, we take a look at a new food option in Starkville. Plus,
With all the rain Starkville received last week, precautions are being taken in one particular city coming up next.
This is the best thing going at Mississippi State right now.
We are doing so many different things that we learned in the classroom that we are now getting to apply that I didn't even think that we would get to apply.
It's really invaluable. People that you meet, the connections that you're going to make are priceless as well.
PRISM is going to prepare you for the future.
You're getting something that most college students don't get in this major.
Just go for it. Like, there's really nothing to lose. You can only go up.
The real world experience is here while also getting the college credit.
There's so many different aspects to it outside of public relations.
We can use anybody's interest and anybody's expertise to really kind of go into public relations, because public relations is really all inclusive.
Don't let the name hold you back from applying, because we do need more people other than public relations.
welcome back. It was a nice day today, but because of recent rainfall, water levels rose and so did concerns about safety and flooding. Take 30's Rebecca Fox joins us now live from MSU's weather station. Rebecca?
Thanks, Richard. I'm currently at North Farm, and as you can see, did not receive much rain. But with the flood levels on the rise, Ridgeland and the reservoir soar in flood levels.
The reservoir is a large body of water located in Ridgeland, which was built in order to help with the flooding of the Pearl River, But due to extreme rainfall in April of 1979 and levees not being built, Jackson ended up being approximately 43 feet underwater.
Every time it rained, everything flooded over there. Really, really bad, and some people had to use boats to go to their houses.
We see here a photo taken in downtown Jackson showing how high the waters measured. I went to the exact same spot 40 years later to get a visual on what it was like.
Here on Lamar Street in Jackson, Mississippi, stand two buildings that were once affected by 43 feet of water in 1979.
This past week, the Jackson area took in several inches of rainfall, which resulted in the reservoir becoming heavily flooded, affecting not only the spillway, but also becoming a concern for flooding houses. Pearl River Valley is the company in which handles most of the flood concerns and how many gallons of water is being flowed into the Pearl River.
They cleared the vegetation from the banks of the river so that the water will flow faster. They may have done some channelization and they may have built the levees.
Ricky says that with the levees being built, the water will stay out of Jackson, so another repeat of the Great Flood is out of the picture. Here's what Quince had to say when asked how the residents would be affected if another flood were to happen.
It would flood everything again, and if it rains too much, there's not much you can do about that because they have to let so much water out of the reservoir as it fills up.
Flooding can become very dangerous, very quick. Officials advise residents to always remember to turn around and not drown.
But with all the rain that we have received this past week, the weather does look promising for this coming. This is Rebecca Fox reporting live from North Farm with Tech 30 News.
For more information on flooding and which areas will be affected, you can visit a list of areas and precautions online at www.therez.ms.gov. That's spelled THEREZ.ms.gov. Flash flooding caused concerns for drivers. Many of them took their frustrations to social media. Take 30's Alexis Ellis has the story.
Excessive rainfall leading to flooding has caused frustration to local residents in different areas of Starkville. Residents documented areas, as seen here in this video, that have been impacted by the flood. Starkville resident Jovan Sannon explains how he was affected.
I could barely see the ground at all. So when I was driving through it, it was probably all the way up to halfway on my tires or whatever, and it was just horrible. I was trying to head to class first off. By the time I reached to the end of the street, the exit was like blocked off and everything.
Experts say do not, under any conditions, drive through a flooded area. Try to avoid flooded areas at all costs.
I was just like, wow. All that free-flowing water, it was just too much for me, and I'm pretty sure everybody else would think the same.
Don't put up your umbrellas just yet, because by the end of the week, the rain will return.
With Tech 30 News, I'm Alexis Ellis.
After the break, there's a new restaurant in town, but it's very different from all the others.
My name's Dylan Buffkin. I'm the opinion editor with Reflector, and I'm here to talk to you guys about an upcoming article this Friday written by Caitlin Wyatt about why we shouldn't overlook Thanksgiving for Christmas. Seems like every year after Halloween people get ready for Christmas, but we have another important holiday right between that, and one that's family-oriented and very American. I don't think we should discount Thanksgiving just because there's another good holiday down the line. So, try to celebrate a holiday that isn't as consumer-focused and more about getting around the family and having a good time. So I'm excited to see Caitlin's article in the paper this Friday, and I hope you guys are too.
Going out to eat in and around Starkville now have another option that's quite unlike the rest. And as Take 30's Darby Sue Steelstra explains, the head chef hopes his kitchen inspires other businesses to roll into town.
A new type of business has found its way to Starkville, a food truck named Riley J's Treatery with a Mexican cuisine. Head chef Hunter Bell, a culinary student at the Mississippi University for Women, was contacted by owner Cameron Parker when Parker had the idea to start this truck.
Definitely a slow process. There's no speed involved.
One thing necessary was to create the menu.
Kind of did some research about what would appeal to Starkville and then what is popular among this culture, and that's how we came up with our menu.
Head chef Hunter Bell said the business wanted to bring a menu to Starkville that would attract all kinds, from tacos to nachos like these. The customers seemed pretty happy.
Bell stated there were many factors that go into creating this business on wheels, such as receiving your health inspection, a serving license, and other credentials that mirror what a brick-and-mortar restaurant is required to have.
They're very similar. There are small details that you have to pay attention to that restaurants don't have to deal with, that you have to deal with.
One of these details including a license allowing a truck to serve in multiple cities instead of applying for each city's individual license.
A privilege license for that town is what all businesses have to have, but when it comes to a food truck, and since you're not brick and mortar and locked down to one location, you have to have a transient vendor license.
Chicken Salad Chick is Riley J's Treatery's commissary and serves as a location for the business to store things such as extra inventory. So far, the community has seemed to happily adopt this new cuisine on wheels. Perhaps we may even see more find their way to Starkville in time to come. In Starkville, this is Darby Sue Steelstra with Take 30 News.
For more information about food truck licensing and permits, visit msdh.ms.gov. It's now time to turn things over to Ben Phillips with sports. Ben?
Thank you, Richard. Back up the Brinks truck. Somebody's about to get a whole lot of paper. Cash is what I mean if you don't get the reference. Also, we got MLB, NCAA news, and much more coming up next.
When you're the best, everyone wants to see what you'll do next. At Mississippi State University, our team of world-class rocket engineers is venturing beyond boundaries, building rockets like none before. We're launching a new era of space exploration. We've developed cutting-edge technology that's helping us build a rocket that can travel at 4 times the speed of sound. Fast? Yes. But more importantly, revolutionary. For you and for a space program that produces many of the conveniences we enjoy today. We're shaping your life in ways you never dreamed. What's next? Watch us and see.
Welcome back. Last week, the Washington Nationals won their first ever World Series championship in franchise history in a 7-game thriller against the Houston Astros. They made their first appearance in the Fall Classic since 1933 when they were known as the Washington Senators. They also won all their games on the road in that series, the first time that's ever been done. But this is the big leagues, so that means there is a business side to all of this as well. 2 big questions are facing the first-time winners now. Can they do it again next year? And can they re-sign their all-star Anthony Rendon? While we're on the topic of business and baseball, somebody's about to become a very, very, very rich man. That man's name is Major League pitcher Garrett Cole. Garrett has spent the last 2 seasons in Houston where he has a combined win-loss record of 35-10. He went 20-5 this season with 326 strikeouts. if you're wondering if that's pretty good. The expectations are that Gary will get anywhere between $250 million and $300 million. Let's see what Gary had to say about his time in Houston and what could be next.
Mates from the pitching coaches and pitching staff. Learned a lot more about the game from AJ. And it was just a pleasure to play in the city of Houston.
If you're a fan of MSU football, things have been up and down to say the very least. And in college football, up and down is simply a no-go and a no-no. At 3 wins and 5 losses, things were not looking good for Coach Moorhead and company. But suddenly the team woke up and played some impressive football against Arkansas on the road last Saturday. They won by a score of 54-24. Up next for your Bulldogs, a home game on November the 16th against number 1 Alabama. College basketball is back, and your Mississippi State men's Bulldogs took the court last night for a season opener. After making the March Madness tournament for the first time in 10 years, your men's Bulldogs were upset by Liberty in the first round. But that's in the past, and the future is now. Your Bulldogs were victorious in winning their season opener against Florida International 77-69. The next home game is here at home on Friday night against Sam Houston State. Your women's basketball team opener is against Southern Miss on Saturday. If you're not an MSU basketball fan, don't worry, we have you covered. Your men's and women's tennis team are playing in separate tournaments that start today and stretch through the weekend in Newport Beach, California, and Tempe, Arizona. The volleyball team is in action on Friday night in a conference game against South Carolina. The saying is, faith without works is dead. Now, after pressure from different states, such as California and New York, and others, such as Governor Gavin Newsom and NBA superstar LeBron James, and so many others, the NCAA is going to allow college athletes to benefit from their own image and name. Who would think that it was such a foreign concept to be able to make money off your own name in collegiate athletics? I digress, but I think it's about time the NCAA has seen the light and realized that it takes 2 to tango. Unfortunately for me, that's all for sports. We're good for you, and we've got much more of the show coming up after the break.
You hear about it most every week in the fall. Some player, somewhere, is fighting for his life after a head injury. Those are the days when the game stops being a game. So I started thinking about armors in nature. For example, rams are protected when they collide. Could that guiding principle be applied to football helmets? We're replicating this process with the hopes of reducing concussions. We're taking strides to save lives. Why do we do this? For the praise? To be esteemed as research pioneers? No, not at all. This is for them, the kids, and making sure the game keeps being a game.
It's hard to fathom. By the year 2050, Earth will be home to 3 billion more people than today. And with rising populations and dwindling resources, one of the most pressing questions is a stark one. How will we feed everyone? At Mississippi State University, we're preparing a meal table where there's a seat for all of us. As one of the nation's leading research universities, our scientists are deploying technology to enhance crop production, developing vaccines to protect aquaculture, working to boost water resources here at home and in communities around the globe. And by partnering with the League of International Universities and the United Nations, we're guaranteeing that global food security is a priority for years to come. As our world grows, so do the challenges. But when it comes to how we will feed everyone, rest assured, Mississippi State has all options on the table.
Some seniors are gearing up for graduate school, others consider it an option for the future. But as Take 30's Shatoya Reedus shows us, there are a few things that would-be graduate students need to think about, and it's not just the entrance GRE exam.
Career Service is on campus to assist students with their future plans. It helps with resumes and preparation for interviews. Leslie Neal at MSU Career Center say despite what you think, it takes more than just passing the GRE to get into graduate school.
A statement of purpose you had to put together, which we do at the Career Center help proof. So if you ever go into grad school and you need help with that, we can do that. And then you had to have some letters of recommendation.
The center held a graduate and professional school information day, which was open to freshmen through seniors looking to further their education.
The big categories that the university offers is going to be health related. So those are for the people that want to go off to, maybe med school.
Freshman Ryan McClung says she plans to earn a Master of Medical Science before applying for medical school, and the event ensures she's right on track.
I have gone to the Career Expo and I have worked the Career Expo also, so just meeting new employers who come in and just putting myself out there to meet other people.
One reason the event is held is for students to get a feel of what they may like because of the huge commitment it requires.
Sometimes we find ourselves going into majors or professions that other people want us to do, or maybe that's been known in the family. And I feel like at some point, in order for you to be the happiest person you can be, you need to follow and do what's best for you.
Graduate school is a serious investment of time and money. And like all serious investment, the more you give, the more it's likely to give back in return.
For Take 30 News, I'm Shatoya Reeders.
Career Services is scheduled to hold its next event in January of 2020. That's about all the time we have for the show tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you would like to follow us on social media, we do have social media accounts for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Take 30 News MSU. Be sure to take a look at your weather for the next week. It's going to be in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, so it'll be warm and cold for you coming up this week. Have a great night.